Hello, my friends. It's been a pretty memorable year, and I am not just referring to all the new McFlurry flavors that I discovered. Nope, I am talking about movies. And there were a bunch of really good ones that came out in 2023. So before we turn the page in the calendar that I forgot to buy for 2024, let's just look back one more time. Now, it's worth noting that today's list only features wide release films that hit 3,000 or more theaters. And that does exclude some pretty great titles, so be sure to check out the full list at RottenTomatoes.com. And while I know that the most memorable movie experience of the year for a lot of people was a little something called Barbenheimer, I'm sad to say that Barbie just barely missed out on the top 10 and came in at 11, which is frustratingly close for me. What? But just so you all know, it is still Knuff in all our hearts. So let's check out the best movies of 2023 right now on Rotten Tomatoes Countdown. Number 10, Dungeons & Dragons: Honor Among Thieves. Based on the classic role-playing tabletop game, but with no connection to the film trilogy released in the 2000s, if you know, you know, this film arrived in the spring and it brought a new kind of life to this long-running franchise. The film was described as a fantasy heist action comedy, and if that just seems like a bunch of adjectives thrown together, very true, I feel the same, but also it really makes perfect sense once you see it.
Now all befriended. Oh, let's celebrate lasses and lads. Where once were contenders, now are befrienders. Let's celebrate lasses, celebrate lasses, celebrate lasses, celebrate lasses.
What's going on? My foot is stuck.
Concentrate.
Braid.
What madness is this?
Honor Among Thieves features Chris Pine leading a very strong cast that includes Michelle Rodriguez and Regé-Jean Page. And after being in development for a decade, the wait seemed to be worth it, especially because the fans are into it, which really matters with something like this. The film's very high audience scores due to fans loving the blend of action, fantasy, and comedy, all while respecting the source material. You know, it's like you gotta respect the dungeons and the dragons. You feel me? Number 9, Megan. Not that society needed another example of how artificial intelligence could go oh so very wrong, but this movie is just too good not to have been made. It stars Allison Williams as a toy company roboticist who designs a lifelike doll to serve as a child's friend and an ally to parents. But after she decides to use the doll on her orphaned 8-year-old niece, things don't go as planned. And when they try to shut it down, well, let's just say that this toy could put Toys R Us right back out of business.
Megan? What are you doing? Oh,
With Jason Blum and James Wan among the film's producers, it's not really surprising that this one became a hit at the box office and with critics. So much so that a sequel already has been greenlit with Allison Williams returning, unless of course some of this stuff starts happening in real life, and then we're all just gonna have to run as fast as we can in the opposite direction. I will ask ChatGPT if that is likely and get back to you. Number 8, Air. This film tells the incredible true origin story of the world's most famous shoe line of all time, Air Jordan, which seems to be as popular as ever and in sports other than basketball. The movie soars with a stellar cast that includes Matt Damon, Ben Affleck, Jason Bateman, and Viola Davis, among others, with Ben Affleck also directing. And honestly, it just really never gets old seeing Affleck and Damon do their thing.
I'm willing to bet my career on Michael Jordan.
Come on, man.
You asked me what I do here. This is what I do. I find you players, and I feel it this time. Okay, it's risky. When you were selling sneakers out of the back of your Plymouth, that was risky. It took balls. I mean, that's why we're all here. Don't change that now. I mean, if you look at him, if you really look at Jordan, like I did, you're gonna see exactly what I see.
Which is what?
The most competitive guy I have ever seen. He is a killer.
Not that it matters all that much in Hollywood, but his heirness, Michael Jordan, did meet with Ben Affleck and give the movie his blessing, which is pretty good because as we saw in The Last Dance, you do not want to make MJ mad or he might, take it personal. The audience score for this one is in the very high 90s, so if you can't trust the critics, you can most definitely trust your peers. They loved it. And I am one of them. I mean, just look at my shoes. Oh wait, these are Adidas. Just kidding. Number 7, Killers of the Flower Moon. This Western crime drama was directed by Martin Scorsese. It stars Leonardo DiCaprio and Robert De Niro, making it Scorsese's 6th collab with DiCaprio and 10th with De Niro. I mean, talk about a husband-husband-husband work relationship. Now, the killer cast also includes people like Jesse Plemons, Brendan Fraser, and Lily Gladstone, who, along with Leo, shines in this one and has the early awards buzz to prove it.
What was that?
Shomikasi. That's how you are.
I don't know what she said, but it must have been Indian for handsome devil.
Killers of the Flower Moon is based on the 2017 nonfiction book of the same name by David Grann, and it tells the story of a series of murders in the Osage Nation of Oklahoma in the 1920s, after oil was found on tribal land. Clocking in at nearly 3.5 hours, I gotta say it's a bit intense, but the vibe from audiences is that this powerful story mixed with gorgeous scenery and great acting really helps it move, and it's those 3 things that will help make this a force during award season. Number 6, Oppenheimer. This biopic was written, produced, and directed by Mr. Christopher Nolan, who wrote the script in the first person to really put people in Oppenheimer's shoes. Now, to help with that, he also cast Cillian Murphy as theoretical physicist J. Robert Oppenheimer, and the critics' consensus calls it a tour de force performance, and I call it really damn good.
Hitler's dead. It's true. But the Japanese fight on.
Their defeat seems assured.
Not if you're a GI preparing to invade. We can't end this war.
But how do we justify using this weapon on human beings?
We're theorists. Yes? We imagine a future, and our imaginings horrify us. But they won't fear it until they understand it, and they won't understand it until they've used it.
Murphy was also joined by names like Emily Blunt, Matt Damon, Rami Malek, Robert Downey Jr., Josh Hartnett, and Kenneth Branagh in supporting roles. And while, yeah, I'm so sorry, that is a lot of names. I mean, who am I going to leave off that list? Josh? No way. And Oppenheimer actually checks in as the highest grossing film on this list at nearly $1 billion made. And if I had just made $1 billion, I would bet some of it on that you'll hear this movie called on Oscar night way more than once. Holy New Year, we have reached the halfway point, and because short-term memory loss is a side effect of those special gummies your neighbor probably gave you, here is a recap. So what is left? Let's find out. Number 5, John Wick Chapter 4. With star Keanu Reeves and director Chad Stahelski returning a full 4 years after the release of Chapter 3 Parabellum, many critics call this the best John Wick of them all, if not one of the best action movies of all time. Wowza. Not only that, this time around it manages to weave in a thoughtful story amongst a fun new set of characters, which includes action legend Donnie Yen. If it seems like this franchise is at the top of its game, it absolutely is. Luckily, a spin-off and technically a prequel to this movie called Ballerina is set for 2024, while a 5th Wick film is also in development. I mean, all this over a dead puppy. Number 4, Spider-Man Across the Spiderverse. Miles Morales, aka Spider-Man, returned this year with the impossible task of living up to the first movie, Spider-Man Into the Spiderverse, and they totally did it. In this one, Miles and Gwen Stacy venture into the Spiderverse, where Miles meets a group of spider heroes called the Spider Society. And he butts heads with one of them over how to deal with a new villain, the Spot.
Oh, Spider-Man, wow. This is real. So are you like a cow or a Dalmatian? I am the Spot. We meet again, Spider-Man. Oh, that's funny to you?
Of course not. No.
So is that a costume?
Unfortunately for both of us, this is skin.
Oh, dang.
You see, I'm from your past. 1 year ago.
Hold up.
Oh, come on.
Now, much like the first movie, this one performed extremely well for an animated action flick and for many reasons. One of which is the voice cast, which saw names like Issa Rae, Daniel Kaluuya, Jason Schwartzman, and Oscar Isaac joining up, with returning stars Shamik Moore, Haley Steinfeld, and Jake Johnson. Now, a third movie is in development to make it a trilogy, along with a more female-centric Spidey spinoff too, so get excited. Number 3, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Mutant Mayhem. Clearly, it was a very big year for animated action, because this one performed even better with critics than Spider-Man. The 4 main characters, the Turtles, are voiced by newcomers in an effort to cast actual teenagers. And then you have Ayo Edebiri playing April O'Neil, Ice Cube, who's the main villain Superfly, and Jackie Chan is Master Splinter, the Turtle sensei and adoptive father.
Boys, where have you been? I've been freaking out.
We're sorry, Dad.
It was this one thing. It was this cat, and you know I'm scared of cats, so.
Yeah, we did have to.
Wait a second. You said you would go shopping, then come right back. Where were you?
There's nothing.
Look, we're really sorry, Splinter. Some of the guys want to see a movie, and I try to talk them out of it.
Leo!
What? You watch a movie with a human?
You ratted us out.
Hey, don't use that word that way.
It's 2023.
Sorry, Dad.
Producer Seth Rogen teamed up with his longtime collaborator Evan Goldberg from movies like Superbad to co-write this one, which ultimately caters to both kids and parents. He also got a bunch of his friends to voice characters, including Paul Rudd and Rose Byrne, along with other big names like Post Malone and the best bad guy ever, Giancarlo Esposito. I mean, turtle power. Sorry, I've just always wanted to say that on camera. Number 2, Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part 1. Now, Ethan Hunt returned yet again, and this time, no, seriously, this time, it was his most dangerous mission yet. Until Dead Reckoning Part 2, I presume? In Part 1, Hunt and friends are looking to track down a dangerous weapon that threatens humanity before the bad guys get it. No big deal. And a big part of that plan involves a fresh new face of the franchise, Haley Atwell.
There's a cylindrical device inside. I'm gonna take it out. How we doing, Luther?
Ethan, the buyer's in the waiting area above you, top of the escalator. All units are headed in your direction. Your location is going to be crawling with agents anytime now.
Her character is a thief with her own agenda, and she joined returning characters in Ethan's circle, played by the likes of Ving Rhames, Simon Pegg, and Rebecca Ferguson. An expensive budget and other competition this summer, aka Barbenheimer, made this a bit of a disappointment at the box office, but as you can see, it made number 2 on this list. Number 1, Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. This coming-of-age dramedy is, of course, based on the 1970 Judy Blume novel of the same name. It stars Abby Ryder Fortson as 11-year-old Margaret, along with Rachel McAdams as her mother and Kathy Bates as her grandmother. I mean, how amazing would it be to have those two as your mom and grandma? Anyway, oh man, does this capture the awkwardness of so many things so perfectly?
Oh, yeah. Yep. Go. This is always the tough bit. I can't even do this to this day. Okay, all right. Can I see? How's that feel?
I cannot wait to take it off.
Yeah. Welcome to womanhood.
The film was written for the screen and directed by Kelly Freeman Craig, who teamed up with legendary producer James L. Brooks for this project after previously working together on The Edge of 17. Love that movie. And with the tomato meter score sniffing the 100% mark, the critics used big words like effervescent to describe this one, saying that it, quote, does full justice to Judy Blume's seminal novel. All right, my friends, there you have it. 2023 in a movie nutshell. 'Twas a good year, and one that we can always look back on with fond Barbenheimer memories. I'm obviously still bummed Barbie just made the list at number 11. It was one of my all-time favorites this year. But for more on all these movies that we discussed today and the rest of this epic year-end list, be sure to hit up RottenTomatoes.com. Thanks for checking out today's list. Until next time, I am your host, Naz Perez, and we will see you back here for more Rotten Tomatoes Countdown.